this morning's devotion with you. If you've been keeping up with us, you know that we are in First Corinthians. Recently, we've been in First Corinthians chapter 7, where Paul talks about keeping your marriage vows, what that looks like, to live as you are called, and what that looks like. And then he follows up into a section for the unmarried and the widows and talks about what that looks like. So as we read today's section, which could be controversial if it is taken out of context, I want you to ask yourself, what has been keeping me from serving God as best I could? And as I'm reading these verses, we'll talk about it some, but I want you to reflect on it and think about what you perceive Paul meant when he wrote this. So let's dive in. Chapter 7, verse 32 begins with, "But I want you to be without care. He who is unmarried cares for the things of the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he who is married cares about the things of the world, how he may please his wife. There is a difference between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares about the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she who is married cares about the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And this I say for your own profit, not that I may put a leash on you, but for what is proper, and that you may serve the Lord without distraction." See, we all fall into these categories. Either you're single, you're married, you're widowed, you're estranged. There's all sorts of categories that we fall into, and Paul is focusing on two right here. This falls in that section of the unmarried and the widows. See, so many people, myself included, before I got married, before Cassie and I were engaged, I focused on the wrong things. So many people look for a spouse to make them happy. And what that does is that's putting something and someone above God. It's a distraction to keep you from focusing on the right thing. And what Paul is saying here is, guys, focus on proper things. Focus on the right thing. Focus on the eternal things, and God will provide the rest. See, if you take a look at different denominations or Catholicism or anything like that, sometimes this gets taken to an extreme. If you are in the clergy, you can't have a spouse. That's not what Paul's saying here. He's saying don't let that spouse be something that distracts you from God, because serving and worshiping God is of the utmost importance. That is what is proper. So it's an amazing thing. You see so many examples of it in River Rocks Church where spouses are able to lift one another and actually encourage and support one another so that their significant other can better serve God. You don't have to look any further than Pastor Jeff and Jessica. Pastor Jeff supports Jessica in everything that she does for the women's ministry, and it is thriving and it is glorifying God above all else. And on the flip side, Jessica is Pastor Jeff's biggest supporter. If you ever see her at a sermon, she is constantly pushing and encouraging him and having him strive towards the Lord. We see that with Pastor Mark and Natasha. We see that with Kristen and Gio. We see that with Eddie and Christy. We see that with Trevor and Ronnie. You look across the board of our leadership and you see that time and time again. And I've got to say, I'm blessed to have a bride that does the same thing for me. So there is a fine line between having a spouse and then worshiping a spouse. Having a helpmate that is going to encourage you to seek the things of God versus one that's going to distract you. And see, that's what God is saying, or what Paul is saying here, is I want you to be without care. I want you to be without distraction. Focus on the things of the Lord. And if you are married, yeah, you do need to care about that other person, but don't let that distract you from doing the things of God. So it's an amazing thing to be able to run that race with your spouse. And unfortunately, this can be taken out of context, either from a religious standpoint or if you haven't been awake, you could take this out of context and as a young person be like, see, I don't need to get married. I don't need anything like that. It's wrong if I get married. No, have a sober mindset about it and see that this is meant to not distract you from doing the things of the Lord. So my heart for you today is that you reflect on where you're at in your life and see what distractions you might have that are keeping you from serving God with all that you can. Because we've all got something. It could be a hobby, it could be a job, it could be a spouse, it could be a pet, it could be a kid. There are all these different things, these different excuses as to why we don't serve God as best we can. And I want us to get past those and start serving God.